He is Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. His name is the stuff of... He is the Highlander. Highlander, tomorrow at 10:30. This is ASN, covering Atlantic Canada.
This is ATV Headline News on the Hour. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jonathan Gravener. Well, it was a case of so close yet so far away for the Nova Scotia PEI ferry. The NV Confederation was docking at the Caribou Wharf tonight when the ship's power system shut down. The ferry and its 300 or so passengers were stranded less than 100 meters from the dock. It was nearly 2 hours before power was restored and the people were able to get off the ferry.
Well, we didn't get much information at all, really.
Yeah.
So we were quite comfortable.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So we're just glad to be back on the Nova Scotia soil.
It's linked for me, never again. It's twice I've been stuck in these ferries, once for 12 hours and here again tonight. No, sir, never again.
After the new bridge opens, the Wood Islands Caribou service will be Prince Edward Island's only link to the mainland. A 67-year-old man is missing near a lake in Halifax. Cecil Schneer of the Glades Nursing Home was last seen last night carrying a duffel bag and a fishing pole. He hasn't been seen since.
The areas that he usually fishes are both Long Lake and Sheldrake Lake. We have people that are searching both areas right now. We have not heard or made contact from that individual since he was last seen.
Police say he is 5 feet 10 inches tall and weighs about 145 pounds. Searchers are looking around the Long Lake area in Spryfield. Darkness and bush is making the search difficult. The man was wearing warm clothes, though, when he went missing. Nova Scotia NDP leader Robert Chisholm says the health minister isn't looking for the truth in Glace Bay. He says Bernie Boudreau wants political vengeance. The government has ordered an investigation into claims by Dr. Michael Gallivan that health reforms are responsible for 50 deaths in that community. Boudreau says the doctor has a responsibility to be accurate in his statements. Well, many times New Brunswick's Minister of Education has said that his decision is final. But the people of Saint-Sever in New Brunswick say they just don't hear him. So once again on Sunday, they marched in protest to keep their school open. ATV's Ron Shaw was there.
They all know each other, but socializing didn't detract from their focus. Steely-eyed determination to force the Minister of Education to keep their school open.
We don't stop. We're going to win, and we're sure we're going to win. All the people all around here and all the province work together.
Other communities have seen their schools doomed to closure. There has been anger, even tears, eventually resignation. No one is giving up here. These marchers feel there is too much at stake.
It's the future. In a small community like us, I mean, you got a church, you got the firemen, and you got the school. You should take one away.
So they walk in the rain, but not alone. They are joined by protesters from all over New Brunswick, even some students from Montreal. Other marches, solidarity marches they called them, were held all over the province. The marchers didn't seem to mind the rain. In fact, they welcomed it. They saw it as an opportunity to show just how determined they really are. After all, they've been through worse.
We know that what we're doing is right. And the first time we were hit by the riot squad, today we're hit by the rain. So today is not as worse as the first time.
And so they walk in the rain. They march on believing their school will stay open, if only by sheer force of will. In Saint-Sever, Ron Shaw, ATV News.
The head of the New Brunswick Federation of Labour says he'll try to mobilize his members to vote against the federal Liberals. Bob Hicks is making that a priority for the Labour Federation's annual meeting. It starts in Edmundston tonight. The provincial Liberal government has refused to make changes to labour laws that would give unions more power. Well, Canada Customs may close more than 50 small border crossing points, including a number in New Brunswick. Ronnie Moore of the Customs Officer Union says the closure will affect crossing points that employ 1 or 2 officers. Canada Customs says no decision has been made yet. A report by the Atlantic Province's Economic Council says this region's economy has barely noticed the new blended sales tax. It says a reshuffling of prices brought on by the 15% levy has almost canceled out any negative or positive effect. Governments in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland had predicted the lowering of some prices would be a big benefit for the economy. Opponents say the highest cost of other items would hurt growth. Social workers in Alberta are fighting their province's plan to privatize child protection services. They say if it happens, more children will die. They point to Ontario's privatized system, where 37 children died in 1995, compared with just 7 in Alberta. The Royal Canadian Legion is a fixture in many maritime communities, so much so that it is often taken for granted. But lately, with memberships declining, the organization is facing new challenges. Number one, how to survive financially. At the Legion's convention this week in Wolfville, members will look at ways to attract new, younger members.
Unless we are more active in the community, more adept at making the type of contribution we make known.
The organization has invited 2 high-profile airmen to address the convention, including Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield. Well, despite a steady rain, almost 300 people turned out for the annual silent walk for St. John Deaf and Hard of Hearing services. The walk, held in Rockwood Park, raised about $15,000 for the nonprofit agency. Much of the money will go towards programs for the 120 hearing-impaired children living in the greater St. John area. On the campaign trail tonight, every seat counts for every party, but it's especially urgent at the moment for Preston Manning and Jean Charest. Their parties are competing to become the opposition. So far, there has been little sign of hope for either of them in Ontario, which is why Jean Charest was there this weekend. Paula Newton has more.
Jean Charest has stepped into Ontario ready with a new, sharpened attack against Preston Manning. The Conservatives are practically retracing reform steps through Eastern Ontario, saying Manning is as much of a threat to unity as separatists.
And never, ever let the voices of division drag us down further, whether it's the Bloc in Quebec or Mr. Manning elsewhere in the country.
After weeks of holding his fire, concentrating almost exclusively on Liberals, Charest has refocused, needing to spell it out for traditional Tory voters here. He's taking direct aim at a new reform slogan that Canada now needs leaders from outside Quebec.
At a progressive Conservative rally, contrary to one for Mr. Manning, we do not ask you for your birth certificate before you attend.
While Charest is warmly welcomed in what used to be Conservative strongholds, Manning's message is having an impact here too, especially with those exasperated by Quebec politics. And unity is the dividing line between the Conservative and Reform platforms.
And the very first tax I want to eliminate on June 2nd is this tax of political uncertainty that Gilles Duceppe of the Bloc and Preston Manning of the Reform Party would impose on this country.
This is turf both parties need desperately to win, and Charest has resolved that it's time to tell Ontarians exactly how he feels about Reform's message.
That he would much rather inspire you with his fear for the future than rather inspire us with hope.
The Conservative campaign will be spending the bulk of its time in this last week in Ontario, and strategists say that in the last few days they have been gaining some ground here, thanks largely to the issue of unity. Paula Newton, CTV News, with the Charest campaign in Belleville.
Also on the campaign trail, NDP leader Alexa McDonald was campaigning in Saskatoon today. Bloc Québécois leader Gilles Duceppe attended a rally in Quebec, and the Prime Minister and Reform leader Preston Manning took the day off. South of the border, a skydiving plane has crashed in a field near Miami. The pilot and 5 skydivers were killed. One skydiver managed to jump out before the crash and safely floated to the ground. The plane burst into flames in a farming district. One victim was pulled a few meters from the wreckage, but all were dead at the scene. A fire in a Philadelphia row house this morning killed 6 people, including 4 children. The children ranged in age from 11 months to just 6 years old. A firefighter and another man were hurt. Officials say the fire may have been caused by careless smoking on the living room sofa. They say the house did not have any working smoke detectors. Yesterday, a fire in Reading, Pennsylvania killed 5 people, including 4 children. That home had no working smoke detectors either. Authorities in Germany say a fire apparently set by neo-Nazi extremists gutted a Roman Catholic church. Investigators say they discovered freshly painted white swastikas on the outside wall. They also found on the wall the name of a pastor who recently gave an Algerian immigrant family shelter. About 250 people gathered outside the burnt church tonight to protest attacks motivated by the hatred of immigrants. And a spectacular fire in Ontario this weekend in Bracebridge. The blaze broke out at a lumber company early Saturday morning and was quickly fueled by the wood products and paint inside. Firefighters managed to save several storage sheds nearby, but the main building was destroyed. Ironically, the original building burned down in 1925 and was rebuilt later that year. Cause? Still under investigation. And a 12-year-old boy faces arson charges after 3 youngsters were caught fleeing the scene of 3 burning houses in the city of York in Ontario. The fire broke out over the supper hour in a home under renovation. It was quickly spread to the 2 nearby buildings. The 12-year-old was charged, but a boy aged 9 and a 10-year-old girl are both too young to be charged. They were released into the custody of their parents. Damage estimated at $60,000. A firefighter also suffered minor injuries. Still ahead, we have your money and your life and entertainment as front row center. But first, headline weather. You're watching ATV Headline News on ASN.
I'm meteorologist Peter Code in the ATV Weather Center. Taking a look at tomorrow's weather across Canada, British Columbia will be mostly sunny with seasonal temperatures, but Alberta can expect a fair amount of cloud with some showers in the southern half of that province and some snow in the far northern communities. Saskatchewan and Manitoba will be mostly sunny except for the far north, and most of Ontario will be sunny as well. Quebec will be sunny in the north, but showers can be expected in the south from the disturbance affecting much of Atlantic Canada. Overnight on the Maritimes will be windy and cloudy with showers or periods of rain, drizzle, and fog. The wind, mostly easterly, will be around 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, but could gust as high as 90 in the Cape Breton Highlands. Temperatures will fall to the range of 4 to 8. Tomorrow will be cloudy with a few showers, or in the case of Cape Breton, rain tapering to showers in the morning. The wind will become generally northerly, 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. Afternoon temperatures in the cool 9 to 12 range. Total rainfalls will be in the order of 10 to 15 millimeters. Overnight in Labrador will be mostly clear, and while the Magellan's can expect rain, drizzle, and fog, and an east wind to gust as high as 60 kilometers an hour, Newfoundland will be or become increasingly cloudy. Tomorrow, Labrador mostly sunny, but while the rain tapers to showers in the Magellan's, it will be spreading across Newfoundland during the afternoon. The wind in most of Newfoundland will increase to southeast 50 to 70 kilometers per hour. Afternoon temperatures plus 4 to 12. The outlook for the Maritimes, Tuesday will continue cloudy with showers, except New Brunswick can expect some sunny breaks. Wednesday and Thursday should be mostly sunny and warmer. While Labrador can expect generally fair weather for much of the week, Newfoundland can expect periods of rain on Tuesday, tapering to showers for Wednesday, but sunshine for Thursday.
Still to come tonight in your money, going to space on a tourist trip. Also your life. These stories plus ATV Headline Sports when we come back.
All right, team. Go! Do you want to look? Oh, I forgot. Keep working. That's good. Very nice. Love just isn't the same with one, is it, Eddie? It's just as we thought. Sometimes one just isn't enough.
Introducing Harvey's new Double Value Hamburger for just $1.89. 2 specially seasoned new patties, charbroiled to perfection and topped any way you like. Just $1.89.
Well,
Harvey's.
Tax dollars at work.
Everyone's an original.
Donovan Bailey loves the 100. The Maple Leaf 100% all-meat Frankfurter. They aren't like typical all-beef hot dogs because all beef isn't always all meats. Maple Leaf 100s are 100% all meat and seasonings only, with no fillers, byproducts, or MSG. That's why Donovan loves finishing a 100. Maple Leaf 100s, because all beef isn't always all meat.
This summer, rediscover Canada. But first, rediscover the new 98 Windstar. Discover the incredible value of Canada's best-selling extended-length minivan, available for the first time for only $249 a month. Discover the security of a 5-star safety rating. Move up to the luxury of quad captain's chairs and the most powerful engine in its class for only $49 more. So rediscover Windstar now, because value like this won't last forever.
Are you hungry? Yeah. How about something different?
I hear they have pitas at Wendy's.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. Let's go to Wendy's and try the pitas.
In case you haven't heard, Wendy's has fresh stuffed pitas, like our Garden Ranch chicken with chunks of chicken breast filet, chicken Caesar with shredded Parmesan, classic Greek with feta cheese, and veggies.
Where should we eat? I don't know.
They have pitas at Wendy's.
Thanks, Dave.
It's everything you love, stuffed in a big, warm, soft pita.
We're selling lots of pitas, Dave.
Word gets around.
Come on in and try one today.
If you'd like to take a look at the weather from above Earth, save a little money and stick around. That's because, as Mei Li reports, some Japanese firms are planning space voyages for the public.
3, 2, 1. We have booster ignition and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Atlantis.
As the adventurous but fictitious Captain James T. Kirk once said, space, the final frontier. Well, so far, this frontier has already seen men on the moon, shuttles docking at space stations, and Russian and American astronauts taking a walk in space side by side. So, what's next? Well, how about a space vacation to really get away from it all? Japanese construction giant Shimizu plans to open a space hotel by the year 2020. Tourists will blast off and travel 450 kilometers to the 64-room hotel, all, of course, with great views of Earth. Shimizu says certain areas of the hotel would have zero gravity, so visitors could experience the sensation. But if floating in space isn't your idea of a perfect vacation, maybe a trip to Mars will do the trick. The Obayashi construction company is drawing up plans to build a colony on the red planet by 2061.
We immigrate, then we permanently live there. We make kids there, we raise the kids, then we make this planet as our home.
There is, however, the cost factor. Adventures in space aren't likely to be very affordable. But scientists say the falling costs of putting payloads into space could bring down the price a bit.
The problem all along has been that spaceflight is tremendously expensive, and there just aren't that many people who are prepared to spend $100 million for a trip into space all on their own. On the other hand, NASA, the Air Force, other countries around the world have a lot of ideas for how one could get the cost of spaceflight down. And at least some people are optimistic that within the next decade or two, if you're prepared to mortgage the house, you might be able to become an astronaut and to fly into space.
Or better yet, you could sell the house and become a permanent resident of Mars. Mei Li, CNN, reporting.
ATV Headline Sports, brought to you by your Atlantic Toyota dealers.
To baseball, where Kevin Young's first career Grand Slam helped Pittsburgh edge Montreal 8-6 today. Young's slam highlighted a 5-run 8th inning. Dale Swaim hit a 3-run homer for the Pirates. Mark Wilkins pitched 1 inning for the win. Rich LaSalle pitched a perfect 9th for his 4th save. Mark Lansing hit 2 homers for the Expos, raising his season total to 8. In Toronto, Benito Santiago's bases loaded walk in the bottom of the 11th scored pinch runner Juan Samuel to give the Blue Jays a 4-3 win over the Anaheim Angels. Sprague led off the inning with a fly ball to right field that dropped between a couple of outfielders. And Angel pitcher Rich DeLucia then intentionally walked Carlos Delgado and Ruben Sierra to pitch to Santiago. Toronto, which entered the game having lost 9 of its last 10 extra inning games, breaks its 2-game losing streak. Well, they'll have to wait another day before the race, the Indy 500, will be on. That's because Sunday's race was canceled because of bad weather. The race is now rescheduled for Monday. Meanwhile, on the track, Jacques Villeneuve finished first at the Spanish Grand Prix Sunday. He beat Olivier Panis by nearly 6 seconds in the Formula One race. It was his 3rd victory of the season. Formula One racing might also make a few changes next year. Officials say they're looking at moving several races from Europe to Asia because of the growing bans on European tobacco ads. They say racing is on the upswing in Asia, and there's also a growth area for tobacco. Turning to golf, David Frost slipped out of the pack to win the Colonial and put an end to Tiger Woods' relentless bid for a rare PGA triple. After victories at the Masters and the Byron Nelson Classic, Woods began the day in Fort Worth, Texas, 1 shot off the lead. But he saw his quest for a 3rd consecutive triumph disappear with a 2 over 72 that included a double bogey on the 17th. He finished in the tie for 4th. Frost, 3 behind entering the final round, closed with a 67. That was 2 strokes better than David Ogren and Brad Faxon, and 3 ahead of Woods. That is Headline Sports.
Heard the buzz? It's Red Tag Days at your Toyota dealers. Strike a deal, hunter, sell. Winner of the 96 CAA Used Car Performance Award. Aim for a low lease rate of only $195 a month. Got you're mine. You're mine. With a downstroke of just $1,000. Don't miss this one. Fly into your Toyota dealer during their annual Red Tag Days. and save a whack.
Macintosh. Cortland.
Delicious.
Golden delicious.
More choices than any other supermarket, and apples are just the beginning.
Braybird.
Fuji.
Travenstein.
Sobeys, for all the right reasons.
Isn't science great? There we go. Good, good, very nice. Try both sides at the same time. None of it's working. Well, it's just as we thought. There are times when one just isn't enough.
Introducing Harvey's new double value hamburger for just $1.89. 2 specially seasoned new patties, charbroiled to perfection and topped any way you like. Just $1.89. Harvey's.
That feels pretty good.
Everyone's an original.
Scents and fragrances just mask odor. New Always All Days actually help absorb odor with this unique odor-absorbing layer and new fresh weave covering. Try new odor-absorbing Always All Days and don't just mask odor, absorb it.
If you love great food, discover Maple Leaf Prime. It's great chicken every time. Grain-fed and uniquely prepared to meet Maple Leaf's highest standards. It's the best tasting and most tender chicken you can serve. And it's good value, too. That's why more and more families are serving Maple Leaf Prime brand chicken. It's always tender and always good. So it's no surprise that both these chefs insist on Maple Leaf. Maple Leaf Prime. Great chicken every time.
What started as a hobby for a Filipino animal lover has now grown into one of the world's most important breeding centers for tropical birds. Ulrika Nielsen reports.
The first thing you notice upon arriving at this private aviary near Quezon City is the noise. These brightly colored macaws are just some of the residents at Birds International. For 2 decades, this aviary has been committed to saving the world's endangered bird species. Thanks to its breeding efforts, many of its rare birds now reside in zoos around the world. For owner Antonio de Dios, it's a dream come true.
It's my obsession since I was young to be associated with animals. And the parrots became my choice because of their longevity. They can live for quite a number of years, and maybe they can outlive me.
In the nursery, experts take care of newly hatched chicks, making sure they get proper nutrition and attention. There are about 2,000 breeding pairs here who give birth to an average of 2,500 birds a year. And what's the secret to its success? Well, tropical weather for one.
And of course, labor is cheap here, and we have all the tropical fruits available. I think with these conditions, it's a very big plus factor in propagating the species.
The birds live in large cages, which lets them interact with each other, providing as natural a habitat as possible. Staff members say it helps ensure normal growth and improved breeding performance. De Dios says the aviary's success at saving rare birds from extinction is proof of what can happen if people work with the environment. And although the aviary's objective of conserving and protecting rare birds has been achieved, the work is far from over, even for those birds who aren't so camera shy. Ulrika Nielsen, CNN reporting.
Buy a double cheeseburger super value meal for just $3.99, and you can plus it and get a 5-ounce sundae for only 99 cents or a token good anytime.
Plus me.
Oh, Steve.
Presenting the Motor Trend Car of the Year, the 97 Malibu. Step into the rebirth of a classic, featuring a 2.4-liter twin-cam engine, 4-wheel ABS, air conditioning, and more. The 97 Malibu is Motor Trend's Car of the Year. Award yourself a winner for only $2.99 a month to lease or purchase for $19,549. At your Maritime Chevrolet dealers, a star is reborn.
When your party's turfed from office, you start from scratch. You listen to Canadians, and you learn what they're looking for. 1.4 million are looking for jobs. Taxpayers are looking for tax relief. If the provinces can afford it, why not Ottawa? And we all want to protect our healthcare system. Our party is committed to reach these goals, with immediate tax cuts to create jobs and a healthcare guarantee co-signed by the premiers.
So let's get going and let the future begin.
Paid for by the PC Party.
Welcome to Speedy, we've got what it takes. We are the pros who do quality brakes.
It's the Best in Brakes event at Speedy. When it comes to the Best in Brakes, Raybestos, the official brakes of NASCAR, are the official brakes of Speedy. During our Best in Brakes event, get 50% off brake pads and shoes featuring our genuine Raybestos parts. Plus, enter to win a trip for two to a NASCAR Winston Cup event. Save 50% on pads and shoes and enter to win during the Best in Brakes event at Speedy.
Speedy knows what you need. Service and value guaranteed.
Well, this is no surprise. In entertainment news tonight, Steven Spielberg's giant lizards appear ready to crush opening weekend box office records with the Lost World Jurassic Park.
Before this lost world is found, they're still alive.
Isn't it great?
The sequel to Jurassic Park is on pace to rake in an estimated $85.7 million over the U.S. Memorial Day holiday weekend. Now that total would beat the Mission Impossible opening four-day take of $56.8 million last year. The Lost World is also on track to top the five-day opening of $85 million set by Independence Day in July, and the three-day opening of Batman Forever in 1995 of $52.8 million U.S. Well, you know, dance is making a comeback on Broadway. Cynthia Tornquist put some of this year's up-and-coming Tony Award nominees front row center.
1, turn 2, melt 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8.
These folks give Broadway musicals their legs. Wayne Cilento choreographed this season's Dream. His other credits include the revival of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying and his Tony Award-winning choreography for Tommy.
Tommy, can you see me?
I didn't start until I was 18. I wanted to be a pharmacist to take over my uncle's business.
I've always wanted to be a choreographer, probably ever since I could figure out how to spell it.
Veteran Susan Stroman has recreated the dances of the 1930s in Steel Pier. She has won awards for Crazy for You and Showboat. Meanwhile, relative newcomer Joey McNeely is shaking it up in the life. He also choreographed Smokey Joe's Cafe.
Dancing is a limited career. Once you get to around 30 or so, the body just doesn't move as fast.
Anne Reinking stars in and choreographed Chicago.
Well, I can't jump as high as I used to. But there are other things that I do now that I finesse better than I did when I was young.
All have been nominated this year for Tony Awards. Each began in the chorus and learned from the best: Michael Bennett, Bob Fosse, Jerome Robbins, to name a few.
I did Chicago with Bob Fosse and Gwen and Cheetah, and did a few off-Broadway shows, but all the while I was assessing the situation to become a choreographer.
One of the techniques that I learned from Bob is that you tailor it to them. There's a great deal of improvisation.
Seesaw was this big bomb in Detroit, and Michael came in, and in 2 weeks, he completely changed the whole show. He choreographed the whole picture.
But with the deaths of Bob Fosse, Gower Champion, and Michael Bennett in the 1980s, dance and Broadway felt a void. The British musical, which relied on spectacle, further diminished dance on the stage.
We went for about 10 years without any dance in a lot of the shows.
This current generation of choreographers is showing that musicals are more than a chandelier and helicopter. Cynthia Tornquist, CNN Entertainment News, New York.
Our next news update comes your way at midnight tonight. Our next full report, 6 a.m. I'm Jonathan Gravener, and this is ATV Headline News on ASN.